Hey everyone, it's time again to recap the latest news from the solar PV industry compiled by the American Solar Energy Society. I'm Jay Warmke with SolarPVTraining.com, and this is what's happening in the wonderful world of solar for the week of August 17th. Now, homeowners are rushing to install solar before the December 31st expiration of the 30% tax credit. The surge in consumer activity follows the passage of H.R. 1 on July 4th of this year and its elimination of the residential investment tax credit at the end of 2025. Homeowners have through December 31st to have their systems installed to claim the 30% federal tax credit, which represents about a $9,000 savings on typical installations, according to Energy Sage Intel data. Overall, Energy Sage saw a 59% month-over-month increase in registrations for potential customers from June to July, and a 205% year-over-year increase in homeowners actively working with solar installers. Solar installers are also dramatically being impacted by the urgency to go solar. A recent survey conducted by Energy Sage found that 35% of installers expect to stop taking new customers as of October 1st, and 9% of solar installers have indicated that they've already reached their maximum capacity for 2025. On August 15th, the Department of Treasury released new guidance related to safe harboring of solar projects under the investment tax credit in response to the July executive order from President Trump. Safe harboring allows companies to demonstrate a good faith effort at starting solar projects in order to secure the applicable tax credits for that year. In the past, the Department of Treasury has accepted what is known as the 5% safe harboring rule, which determines that a project is under construction if the developer has spent 5% of the total anticipated costs of the project. The new guidance requires projects larger than 1.5 megawatts to use the physical work test to prove that a project is under construction, a method designed to prove that a significant amount of physical labor has begun on the site. One concern of this rule change is that this is subjective as to what constitutes a significant amount of physical work. The physical work test has been narrowed and does not include preliminary activities like grading of land, conducting studies, or clearing the site. Projects using the physical work test must also demonstrate that there has been a continuous program of construction. Once a project has been deemed under construction, developers have 4 years to complete the project before it's placed in service. The U.S. Department of Energy's efforts to prevent fossil fuel power plants from retiring could cost ratepayers about $3.1 billion a year starting in 2028, according to a report released Thursday by Earth Justice, the Environmental Defense Fund, the Natural Resources Defense Council, and the Sierra Club. This report confirms that the Department of Energy's unlawful mandates amount to a self-inflicted rate hike in nearly every region in the country. Ted Kelly, director of and lead counsel for the U.S. Clean Energy Council at the Environmental Defense Fund, said in a press release, "These dirty and expensive fossil fuel plants were slated to close for a reason. They cannot compete with cleaner sources of energy that are more affordable and better for your health. The states with the highest potential annual costs by 2029 incurred by keeping these power plants open are California, Texas, Colorado, Michigan, Louisiana, and Illinois." The Arizona Corporation Commission voted to initiate formal steps required to repeal Arizona's Renewable Energy Standard and Tariff, or REST. Solar advocates see this as another setback for the state's transition to clean energy. The REST rules were passed by a majority Republican commission in 2006 and require utilities to source at least 15% of their electricity from renewable sources by 2025. The move is seen largely as symbolic, as Arizona has already met the target they are now seeking to repeal. Arizona ranks 4th in the country for total solar capacity. Roughly 1 in 5 Arizonans use rooftop solar to help lower their electric bills, and the state receives over 20% of its electricity from renewable sources. According to EIA, in 2024, Arizona's total in-state electricity was generated mainly from 6 sources: natural gas at 45%, nuclear 27%, solar energy at 13%, coal at 8%, hydro was 4%, and wind was 2%. And according to a recent report from Sunun, the largest U.S. home energy systems installer, 70% of their nearly 29,000 new customers last quarter added batteries to their rooftop solar systems. This marked a 50% jump in the battery attachment rate from a year earlier. The battery attachment rate has steadily increased since 2023, jumping from 18% to 54% in the second quarter of 2023 to 2024. And by the end of 24, it had grown to 62%. Batteries are increasingly popular with homeowners as the price of these systems decline. Utility policies and performance are also a factor as the grid has become less reliable. Utilities pay less for net metered power and have instituted time-of-day pricing. Solar owners are also increasingly taking part in virtual power plant or VPP programs where they're compensated for stored energy from their batteries that is then tapped by utilities during times of peak load demand. According to Sunun, roughly 35% of their customers installing batteries are currently enrolled in VPP programs. And that is the news from the solar industry for this week. We'll see you next week.